So most people know, obviously, being part of the gun team, we do a lot of guns and tactics and shooting and stuff like that. And I kind of have other hobbies as well. And one of them that's kind of meant a lot to me these past couple years has been trail running. So a lot of people kind of ask me like, why running? Why trail running? And I kind of think about the classic movie quote from Black Hawk Down, where one of the guys is asking another guy kind of, hey, why do you do what you do? What do you tell people, kind of thing. And so my good buddy Gary died in Iraq in 2017 in August, and really touched me on a really personal level compared to other incidents in my life, I guess you could say. Being in the military, I've known guys that have gone down range and have died, but Gary was the closest guy that I personally knew. I took vacations with him. He's met my family, snowboarding trips. I mean, we did everything together. So I met Gary in 2009. I got switched over to the recon platoon in our battalion. I tried out for it and got picked for it and got put on a reconnaissance team. Gary was on a sniper team. And shortly later, we kind of deployed to Iraq together in 2009, 2010, and grew a lot closer together. Gary was someone I just gravitated towards. He always pushed himself, always went the extra mile, and was a professional in everything he did. We're talking about a guy in his career that completed Ranger School, after multiple attempts, continued to go back and eventually earn his Ranger tab, Sniper School, RSLIC. Just everything he did, he went full throttle on and crushed it, essentially. And we came really close at deployment, and when I came back, I started training up for selection. And to this day, like, I'm 100% positive I would not have been prepared for selection or have gotten selected if it hadn't been for Gary. And I was sitting here in this very garage right now that we're filming in, and I was working out before having to go to work, and I remember getting a phone call from his brother, and just devastated by the news. And I remember just calling all the other guys in the recon platoon that knew Gary and telling them what had happened, and everyone was just devastated. Again, Gary was such a strong force in everyone's life, and was, larger than life itself, as oftentimes these types of people are. And it just hit everyone really tough. And going to his funeral a couple weeks later and speaking at it and linking up with all the guys that flew out to California for his funeral was just awesome to see. Such a great turnout for somebody. And I think that really spoke to Gary's reputation for people who weren't even in the Army anymore. They had no more connection with the old recon platoon, and you had guys from multiple different deployments and different generations of the reconnaissance platoon flying out to California that knew Gary in some way, shape, or form. And so in 2019, I kind of wanted to think of, how could I honor Gary, and what's something I could do that would push me further than my limits and what I thought I could do. And something I've always enjoyed doing is running. I enjoyed doing that with Gary. He was way faster than me. He would go way further for sure. And so I was like, hey, I'm gonna pick up trail running. I live here in Washington State. There's tons of trails, lots of races out here. And so I signed up for the Bigfoot 200, a portion of it, the 20-mile version around Mount St. Helens. And I just started to train up for it. And as oftentimes with stuff like this, there's not a day that goes by that I don't think of Gary. And definitely when I'm out running, there's not a run that goes by that I don't think about him multiple times and the effect that he's had on my life, and thinking about all the times we spent running out in Area J at Fort Bragg, and the crazy adventures we were on, getting lost at Uwharrie National Forest in North Carolina. Just so many adventures with him, hiking Camp Muir when he came here to Washington. And I think about all these things when I run, and that's kind of what pushes me to go further and go that extra mile, and not necessarily cut my run short. Because obviously most people, running long distance, we're talking 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 miles out in the trails in the woods. It's really easy to go, hey, why am I even doing this? This is a waste of time. And I always think back to Gary, and I always think back to, knocking on his barracks room and him answering the door, and just being ready to do anything that I wanted to do, and never saying no, and never losing to me in anything. That's So recently, one of Gary's friends posted, commented on a photo of Gary and said, forever running in front of me telling me to keep up. And I kind of think that really shows what Gary meant to people and shows the kind of person he was. And I feel like that's what I'm going to be doing the rest of my life, is chasing after Gary on these runs and always trying to catch him.